Welcome to the topic on HCC TV, where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. It's great to have you with us today. If you're watching us on HCC TV, make sure you follow us in social media. Also, check out our YouTube channel. You can find us under Houston Community College on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You'll be the first to get notifications on new shows like this one. Plus, you can download the audio versions of all of our shows, all of our podcast shows, by going to hccs.edu/podcast. We're talking about entrepreneurship during this program. You know, while health and safety are our primary concerns during the COVID pandemic, keeping our economy vital is also of great importance. That's where HCC is supporting those efforts through the Glenda and David Regenbaum Center for Entrepreneurship. Joining me today is Director Sandra Louvier, here to tell us how they are doing that. Good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon, Todd. Thanks for having us.
We are glad to have you with us. I wanted to ask you, I know the center has just recently been named over the past year. You want to talk about Glenda and David Regenbaum and how they've really been a big part of HCC over the years, and most importantly, for this Center for Entrepreneurship.
The Center for Entrepreneurship at HCC Northwest was the first center established way back in 2009. And since then, things have just blown up and grown with entrepreneurship at HCC. And I met David Regenbaum back in 2015 when he started attending some of our events at the invitation of Dr. Zachary Hodges, our president. And he got more involved. He's an established entrepreneur and has been very successful creating an association management company in Houston when he moved here from South Africa quite some time ago, about 40 years ago. He grew that to be one of the largest association management companies in the region, and then sold it and was retained to continue to manage it. But he has an encore entrepreneur now where he gives back through HCC. So he's been of service as entrepreneur in residence to our Center for Entrepreneurship for a number of years, and most recently has decided to endow the center with $100,000, and he stays on. He's very much involved in our business plan competition, our small business success series. He and his wife are both entrepreneurs, and it's just an honor to have their name on our center now.
Let me ask you this, because many people may not know. I know you work with entrepreneurs in residence. Maybe you can talk about that position and what exactly they do. And also, these are volunteer positions, are they not?
That's right. That's right. And David was our first entrepreneur in residence, and he's been pivotal in helping us attract more entrepreneurs in residence. So we have one for Northeast Austin Tenet, Ned Miller with HCC Southeast, and then Kimberly Penn with HCC Southwest, and they all are volunteers. They're all entrepreneurs, and they are involved in varying ways depending upon the programs offered at those centers for entrepreneurship, and they're involved in our district-wide programs like our business plan competition and our small business success series. So it's an amazing way to grow and to have entrepreneurs involved in our programs. Training entrepreneurs.
And you have you mentioned a couple of them, but you have some signature programs there. The business plan competition, maybe you can talk about that and the others that you have as well.
Well, the business plan competition had been going for a couple of years when I joined HCC back in 2009. And that's why we started the Center for Entrepreneurship, to provide more support and training for entrepreneurs prior to entering the competition and after moving through the competition. And when we started the Center for Entrepreneurship, we required prerequisites to train people better to move through a competition that delivered training and advising throughout the spring. And so the next competition we had after starting the Center for Entrepreneurship was the most successful ever. And we've been doing it ever since, every spring. We started with an entity called New Spring and since have taken over the competition. But it happens in January. Entrepreneurs that are proposed, startup, or existing apply for the competition, and then they find out whether they've gotten in February, and then we pair them with about 50 advisors. We usually choose 25 to 30 teams to move through training in the competition throughout the spring. Then they submit plans, slides, a video in May, and then we select finalists. They present to judges. And then we celebrate all graduating teams because the competition is designed to empower all teams that get the chance to move through it. So everyone who gets selected for the competition feels like they're a winner because they get the free advising and training and in-kind prizes as well. And then we also give prize money to the top 5 teams.
Right. We've had several of the businesses on this show and several of our other HCC TV shows over the past few years. And one thing they all say, whether or not they won the competition, that's just icing on the cake. Really what they learned was meeting with peers and other businesses, learning strategies, and just being able to talk with others about their business plan.
Right, and refine and polish their assumptions. A lot of people that come in, well, intentionally have been working on a draft of their business assumptions already. And they come in because they want to take it to another level and grow. Remember, we've had William McMorty on before, one of the past winners, and he said they've evolved their business plan to 20 times since they won our competition, because it becomes a central focus of their business with all people involved, acting on the plan that they continuously update.
Now, I know the pandemic has hit us all and we're having to work in different ways, and you guys had to learn how to present your competition to keep moving forward, and you went virtual this past year. Maybe you can tell us about that.
We were in training session number 2 when the pandemic hit. So as I'd said, the people applied in January, they were selected in February. We began training late February and early March, and then boom, we left for spring break on March 13th, and we were never let back in because HCC shut down. So we decided that we needed to figure out a way to pivot and continue on with the competition because entrepreneurs during such uncertain times needed us even more than ever. So we pivoted, and we used WebEx, and we took all our training virtual, and we delivered training sessions in April and early May virtually. And the teams were all able to log in and also meet with their advisors in separate meetings in between times. And we added another training session to focus more on slide presentations, pitches, and we pulled it off. We had judging online, and we had an award ceremony that you helped us host. So thank you for that.
Yeah. The Small Business Success Series, I know those in the past have been full day seminars. How are you doing those online?
Well, now we had one scheduled last fall, and it was all one day long modules, 5 modules spread out over several weeks. And so we delayed the one that we had scheduled for the spring because that was more of a rigorous program to take virtual. So we offered it in August, and we graduated an August-September cohort by going virtual on Zoom. And we split a whole day out into a week where our class attends on Monday afternoons and on Thursday afternoons, and they have office hours with coursework assignments in between. And so the program, and we've also moved to a cohort model. So people apply, we select a class, and the whole class moves through the whole thing together, and they all graduate. And so Rachel here has graduated from the August-September cohort, and we're right now in the middle of our October-November cohort. So we did it.
And they are moving forward. We're going to put the links to the small business plan, the business plan competition, and the entrepreneurship program. We'll put the links in the social media post for the show. Stick around, Sandra. When we come back, we'll meet with one of the winners, the former winners of the business plan competition. That's coming up when we return on The Topic.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out. Good night.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end and it at feedingamerica.org.
That one day at PE when they were like yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much like that helped me. I finally like knew that I had somebody.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis, and we are talking entrepreneurship here at Houston Community College. Did you know we have an entrepreneurship center here and a program that involves businesses coming in and being involved in the business plan competition? And from what I understand with the people I've talked with the program who've gone through it, you don't have to win the competition to benefit from it. We're joined by HCC's Sandra Louvier, who's here with us this afternoon, and also the 2020 HCC Business Plan Competition second place winner, Sarah Mercier, who joins us. And Sarah, you're the owner of Learning Ninjas. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you, while we're talking, we're going to have the website for your company on, but why don't you tell us a bit about your company and what exactly you do?
Sure. So Learning Ninjas is an expert consultancy. We work with businesses, so we're a B2B organization, to help them bring their training programs online. And as you can imagine, this year that has been very interesting.
I imagine business is good right now.
Business is good, but there are challenges. So it's a really interesting pivot story. We have lots of pivot stories this year. We have a really interesting pivot story.
Well, you know, I hear the word pivot and I've been hearing it over and over. That seems like the word for 2020, especially if you're an owner of a business or really in your business world, because we all had to pivot or change the way we're doing things. Let me ask you, when you were going through the competition, how did that prepare you for where you are now and how you've been able to pivot to be successful?
Wow. So interestingly, our organization has been an online organization since we founded it. And in 2019, last year, we moved the organization from Atlanta to Houston. And when we moved to Houston, I thought it would be a good opportunity to really rethink our strategy. And so to start from, where are we now? What's our place in the community? And so we joined the HCC Business Plan Competition. And as Sandra mentioned earlier, then the pandemic happened right at the beginning. So I was very fortunate to be part of this competition right when the pandemic started because we were planning. Yeah. We were right in the middle of it. So we joined the competition really to look at our strategy. You know, as an organization, we've been around since 2012. And, had never really had to put the time into really being strategic or thinking about the organization. We really wanted to grow it. And so the business plan competition had a place for us, organizations that already existed, but really wanted to grow and expand. So I don't know if the stars aligned, and I don't want to say that what happened this year was necessarily a positive thing at all, but for us, it certainly, there were a lot of things that lined up to help us be successful when all of a sudden our services were in high demand.
Yeah. So how do you, and I guess that's problems of prosperity when your services are in high demand. But on the other hand, you've got to have the right answers for the customers and the right solutions. Otherwise, you're going to lose those customers in the word of mouth reputation.
That's right. So one of the things that was interesting about this year is that all of a sudden everyone understood what we did. They're like, oh, you're the person, you're the people that can help us with this. Oh, you can help us learn Zoom. You can help us, take our training online or communicate or have these meetings or events online. And that's true. But with that demand, you also have to set realistic expectations with people. And one of the things that we do is help people through the front end strategy to do this type of work. But you had everyone in the world that immediately needed to do this. Right. So there was no time to be extremely strategic about it. So trying to onboard people to help them support with the work that they were doing while not just dumping into it and saying, oh, this is awful. I never want to do online training again. This is a terrible setup. Trying to help people enter into this space in a meaningful way and in a way that was going to help really support the work that they were doing, not just be kind of a knee-jerk reaction. So it was a really complicated shift to working in this space.
Let me ask you this. I know you specialized in online training before the pandemic. Had most Americans, though, weren't using Zoom or WebEx or any of the online platforms. Were you guys very well versed with this going?
Yes.
I know I didn't get online with Zoom until March.
Yes, it's actually hilarious because all of a sudden people were Zoom experts, and I was like, no, you're not. It meant for us being on a lot of calls and me thinking in my head, please let me take over. Let me, even in some of the business plan competition calls, I offered to Sandra, I said, hey, if you need any help or if you want any suggestions or anything like that, I'm happy to help, which, that wouldn't have been fair for me to do that since I was competing, but it has been interesting to try to get into a place where all of a sudden everyone needs it. We already know how to do this, so how can we make sure that we're providing this as a service that is meaningful, and then that will help people look at this more long term, because many of our organizations that we already worked with, our clients, they already knew how to do a lot of this stuff because we'd already been working with them. And so now all of a sudden they realized they were so grateful. Like, thank you so much for having us have gone through this strategic process already. So they were ready for it.
Right. And we're going to pay attention to you more now.
Yes. It's like, remember that thing I told you to do? This is why that was important.
Yeah, right. This has got to be a real success story, because you look at what's going on in the world, and here's a business that went through the business plan competition during the pandemic that really was trying to teach people what they needed to do before the pandemic hit.
That's right. And so it was interesting to have her in the competition, but we couldn't ask her to do anything for us because she had to be equalized as a competitor. So we were glad that we were able to pull it off with someone who really knew what they were doing, participating in the whole thing.
Let me ask you this. I know you won second place. The experience you were able to get from going through that business plan competition, maybe you can briefly describe that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I entered this competition not really caring at all about the competition part of it. So I didn't really have a lot. I mean, yes, it's great. I'm very honored to have gotten second place and to have won prize money. But really why we entered this competition was that we wanted to put our time into the operations of our organization. So budgeting, setting up strategic planning that aligned with our revenue streams. So we're in we're in a business and a consulting, business that has a pretty high profit margin, which allows you to be very lazy.
Right.
But if you look at the way that your finances align with your strategic goals and you're able to better forecast, it sets you up to really expand and grow very intentionally. So the thing that I got out of this competition was my strategic plan, was 3 years of operations, was cash flow information, all of these things that, I have an MBA. I know how to do it, but you never take the time to do that for yourself. And so this bought out the time for me to work specifically with that. My operations director loves me for it. That I actually put the time into setting up all of this information for us to look at, because as an organization, you have to have a budget, and there has to be a reason for the budget you have. And you have to know where your revenue streams, where's this money going, how much needs to go to taxes, all of those things. And, before we had a very generic picture in our heads, now we have a very structured plan for that. That was worth more than any prize money that I could have ever gotten. If I had won no place, I would have gotten so much out of this competition. I think that just participating in this competition is the value of the competition. Absolutely, for sure.
Well, Sarah, Mercier, we appreciate you being here and shedding a little bit of light on the competition, and good luck with your business, Learning Ninjas. We appreciate you being here this afternoon. Coming up on the show, we're going to speak to another business that was involved with our Entrepreneurship Center. Stay tuned on the topic. We'll be back after this.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look.
Welcome back to the topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. If you're watching us on HCC TV, make sure to follow us in social media under Houston Community College District on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube by looking for Houston Community College. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and you get notifications when shows like these are brand new and posted. Also, if you'd like to download the audio versions of any of our shows, you can download them at hccs.edu/podcasts. We're talking about our Entrepreneurship Center here at Houston Community College, and we're joined by Sandra Louvier, who is the director of the center. Good afternoon again, Sandra.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we've got Rachel Cevallos, who is the president of Identity Plus LLC. Thanks for being here, Rachel.
Thank you for having me, Todd. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, you've gone through the program. Tell us exactly how you were involved with the Entrepreneurship Center. But first, before we get to that, why don't you tell me a bit about your company?
Okay. Thank you. Identity Plus is a design and decorating company in the wearables and promotional products industry. We are located in Houston's historic East End. Our wearables decorating platform includes screen printing, direct-to-garment, dye sublimation, and embroidery. And our promotional products platform is pretty much virtually unlimited because we have access to manufacturers from all over the world, from low-end trinkets you can put your logo on to high-end custom products. And we do most of the decorating in-house for all the wearables.
And you were involved with the Small Business Success Series by HCC. What is that exactly, and how did you apply for it?
I received an email, and the topic of the email was Small Business Success Series. So immediately I was drawn to it because I was drawn to the name, Small Business Success Series, and because of HCC. I am a product of HCC. I attended HCC classes back before they had the campuses when they were having classes at the high schools. So I wanted. I always, anytime something comes across from HCC, I make sure that I open it. And we were in the middle of our growth plan. We had just moved from a small boutique in the Heights to a large 4,000 square foot facility in the East End. We made that move and spent a lot of money moving and doing a lot of build out because our customers at that point were corporate accounts and they wanted us to store items for them. And we were also planning on having events there. So as soon as we made the move and did the build out, the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I needed to adjust. I needed to pivot. You know, we were all pivoting at this point. And the email came across and it was at the perfect time. I needed a new strategy. So that's why I signed up for the program.
And tell us what you were able to learn through it.
We learned a lot. At first, the platform was great. Not only were the facilitators great, the entrepreneurs that I met that helped, you know, in the breakout rooms, they really helped me get through some of it. But the platform was really good because it was 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day, 2 days a week, and that fit right into my schedule.
So I want to bring Sandra into the conversation. Sandra, this has got to be a success story for you because you're able to reach out to potential students for your program at the right time when they needed the assistance.
Yes, in fact, we developed the Small Business Success Series over a number of years, and we took it virtual because we knew people needed it now more than ever. And so it is for proposed startup and existing entrepreneurs, and people apply to get into the Small Business Success Series, and when they get in, they move through it over 5 weeks. So it's fairly focused, but it's an excellent opportunity for them to strategize and pivot. And I love what Rachel said about how she learned from the facilitators as well as from the entrepreneurs in her
Yeah.
small group breakout exercises. That's intentional.
So Rachel, just to recap for folks who are just joining us now, you had a small business and you were located in the Heights. You guys were doing great. You were getting some corporate accounts. It's time to expand. So you moved to a larger location on the east side of Houston, and then the pandemic hit. You went through the small business success series with HCC. What were you able to move into your business to start thriving again?
We concentrated on smaller companies, designing logos for smaller businesses that didn't have the money to invest in large quantities of shirts or promotional items. And so we were able to work with them, design logos for them, and also produce products for them. That's how the program helped me pivot and find a new customer base. While the bigger corporate accounts are on hold for now, I was able to pivot to the smaller businesses.
Were these things you had even thought about when you were operating out of the Heights, that, you know, a year down the road, I may be reaching out to small businesses and that could be my new business model?
No, I was ready to go for the big corporate, large 5,000, 10,000, 70,000 piece jobs, not the 5 and 10 piece products. The other thing that we were also able to do really relatively quickly is one of my t-shirt manufacturers decided that they were going to make masks. And during the pandemic, we pivoted and started printing on masks. And we did that for 4 months. I mean, that's all we printed were masks in small quantities because people couldn't get them with their logo in small quantities. You had to order hundreds or thousands of them.
Were you able to develop any opportunities through networking through this small business success series?
Yes. And you know, when people would reach out to me after the chat room, they're like, oh, Rachel does shirts and for small quantities, and she'll help me create a logo. So yes, I was able to increase business sales through the entrepreneurs that I met at in the program.
Now, Sandra, I know the Small Business Success Series is one of your programs. You have one of your signature programs. Another one I want to mention, because we've had him on the show just a few weeks ago. You have something going on with Mattress Mac out there, or a selling series. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yes, Mattress Mac is you know, everyone in Houston knows Mattress Mac and Jim McInville. And so he's collaborated with our Center for Entrepreneurship to develop training that's going to be delivered about how teaching people how to sell and sell well using his principles and our experience as entrepreneurs and business people to deliver some strong training. And so that is in development now and will be delivered in the spring.
That'll be an exciting one. I'm sure it'll attract a lot of folks. That guy's just as popular as any mayor that Houston's ever had, although he's been around longer than any of our mayors have, you know, collectively. For the programs that we've talked about today, Sandra, the business plan competition, the one that Rachel's involved in, the Small Business Success Series, and the upcoming Mattress Mac Selling Success Series. Are there costs involved with those? How do the people learn more? Can they go to your websites? How does that work?
Well, right now, because of the pandemic and because of generous sponsors, we're delivering these programs at no cost to the entrepreneurs or to the students. So the business plan competition has had some great sponsors in 2020. It was Lift Fund, it was Wallace Bank, it was Hagel. The Houston Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders, Pro Video Systems, Permit Us Now, even past alumni of the competition have come in and sponsored the competition. And then with the Small Business Success Series, Wells Fargo Bank is sponsoring it. And with Mattress Mac, that's been funded as well. So we're very fortunate to be able to deliver this programming in this way. So
folks, the takeaway here is if you've got a small business and you're struggling, or just a business and you need to redesign your plan, HCC has assistance through our Entrepreneurship Center. We're going to have the links to them. Rachel, we want to thank you for being on the show. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And Sandra, always good to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
And thank you for joining us on The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you again next time.